Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Turner, for what purpose?
The gentleman yield for some questions.
The gentleman yield for questions.
I do.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Representative Anchia. So, under your amendment, a duly appointed poll watcher would still be able to be present in the polling location. They simply and observe the election activity, the conduct of the election, but they simply wouldn't be able to roam around at will throughout the polling place while people are voting. Is that correct?
That is correct. Under the current bill, they're entitled to sit or stand near enough to a counting team and to observe the activity at the polling location.
And I don't know how the polling locations are situated in your district. I know in my district in Arlington, at one popular early voting location is at Tarrant County College. The actual polling location is in a portable building, however, so it's pretty cramped. A lot of voting machines in there, several election workers. It's pretty cramped to begin with. And another location at the city water department, similarly a pretty tight space. And under this bill, if we did not adopt your amendment, I can really envision setting aside the privacy concerns for the moment, which are paramount. Just the idea of extra people roaming around in pretty tight quarters when voters are trying to cast a ballot in a safe and secure way, I would imagine is going to be especially disruptive in many of our polling locations. Would you agree that that's a concern?
That is a concern, and we've seen disruption in the past. I mean, in Dallas County, in one of the cases that was referenced today, you had a coordinated effort among partisan poll watchers to distract the judge, to delay the judge, to frustrate the judge. They violated their oath of office, or pardon me, their oath as poll watchers by having their phones on in the polling location when they shouldn't be. They were planning in a coordinated fashion to disrupt the election. So yes, these are very real concerns and concerns we have seen in the past.
And there's nothing in the bill, is there, that limits the number of poll watchers that may be appointed? I mean, you could theoretically have 3 or 5 or 10 partisan poll watchers roaming around the same polling location at one time. Is that right?
There's no limitation at all. And the way I read the bill, it's unlimited. And in fact, the other thing that has no limit is, what is free movement? The concept of free movement within a polling location is 3 feet from a voter when they cast a ballot. Free movement, especially in a cramped space. Is it 1 foot? Is it 6 inches? There are no guidelines in this bill about what free movement entails.
Well, I think that underscores one of the main reasons why your amendment is so important, to say that partisan poll watchers, we recognize there's a place for them when they're duly appointed, but they can't have just unlimited, unfettered access to roam about the polling place, disrupting the election, infringing on people's privacy and the sanctity of their private ballots. So I hope the body will adopt your amendment.
And that's something that, candidly, thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. That is something that was observed by the Secretary of State's office in Dallas County in the very example that was provided earlier today. Thank you.
Ms. Klick, for what purpose?
Would the gentleman yield for some questions?
Would the gentleman yield for questions?
With pleasure.
The gentleman yields.
Representative Anchia, you've made remarks about partisan poll watchers. Do you know how the workers, the election judge, and the assistant judge are selected to work in a polling place?
Usually by the Commissioner's Court.
Those are actually names that are provided by the political parties. In statute, it also states that the election judge in that polling place is based on the most recent gubernatorial election. So those workers in a polling place are partisans as well. Were you aware of that,
Yes, but unaffiliated with campaigns that are on the ballot, right? And that's really, when I say partisan, that's what I really get at. These are campaign poll watchers in a cramped polling location that are now under this bill going to be given free movement with no guidelines, and we've seen evidence of this in Dallas County, which is the county that I represent, where these partisan poll watchers are coordinated to disrupt the election, have coordinated. And in fact, under the law currently, even though the election judge has the same under the election code, that the election judge has the same power of a state district judge. Even with that power, they have coordinated efforts to distract, to delay, to frustrate the election judge. And so imagine giving them unfettered free movement in the polling location, I find problematic.
Well, Representative Anchia, in the most recent election, and I think, right now, under law, they still have to be allowed to observe election processes. In the most recent election, there were some partisan election officials that would not allow them to be into the room, the same room that elections activities were occurring. Do you find that problematic?
I don't know the specific case. I know those allegations were made about Dallas County, but in Dallas County, they had marked off an area under guidance from the county election. So this is the situation I know about. Under guidance from, not county election, county health department during the pandemic, where these partisan poll watchers were stepping across these boundaries, getting within the social distance space during this pandemic, and would get very close not only to voters, but also to the counters of the ballot. And try as they might, these election officials would give them warnings, would try to discourage them from getting within that social distance, because the county health department said, hey, you have to be 6 feet away from each other. And they were trying to get in the face of some of these counters. And I have a problem with that.
Gentleman's time's expired.
Thank you.